Hello everyone. Over the last number of days, another story has broken Ireland regarding the temporary protection directive for the Ukrainians that have come to Ireland. Well over 107,000 Ukrainians have used the temporary directive to come to Ireland, which is extended now until March 2026 by the European Union. We've seen a huge increase in our population without the increase in proper services or resources for people, causing huge pressures. Not to mention the huge amount of companies making huge profits from the immigration chaos in terms of the commercial property owners and of course the big employers, because 1 in 3 Ukrainians now are working in Ireland. So again, it's cheap labour bonanza for the big ruling classes in Irish society. And it's interesting because in the last number of days another story has broke about the accommodation recognition payment. Now, this was mentioned in my comments a number of days ago, and I wanted to cover a video on it because it is very important and it shows the two-tier system that's at play in Ireland regarding the payment systems. In a way, one sector of the population is treated in fairness to other people, which is completely disgraceful. But it shows you that the Irish government has just bowed down to their masters in Brussels rather than serving the interests of people in Ireland, causing huge social problems. This is causing bigger problems as well because of the anomalies, as the Rodrigo Gorman claims, in these payments, because they started a number of years ago where there was supposed to be €400 offered across for people to offer a room in their home or a vacant property they had, and this was done a big call out through the Irish Red Cross, for instance, who had a big Open Your Home, Open Your Heart campaign. Now, this was never carried out for anybody who was homeless in Ireland before. We've seen a huge increase in people accessing emergency accommodation. We've seen so many hundreds of people sleeping rough around the streets of our country every single night, and people who are dying on the streets because of a lack of a place to call home. And it is crucially important because, as I said, this campaign was never done by the political establishment ever before. So it gives you an idea to where they were starting from in the first instance. This was increased then to €800, which was tax-free and non-means tested. And in the last number of years, it has exploded because the reason has been is that a lot of private landlords now are using this to provide accommodation to Ukrainians. Now, currently under the laws in Ireland, private landlords pay 52% rent, or 52% tax on their rental income. So for instance, if they're claiming €1,500 per month on rent, then 52% of that is taxed and the rest goes into the pockets of the landlords. Now, they get other tax breaks as well, landlords as well, have various tax write-offs and things they can actually purchase for homes and these sort of issues as well. But again, it's very important to note that this is now being used by private landlords to make huge money and take stock out of the rental market, because a lot of the Ukrainians have been moved away from the hotel accommodation into long-term accommodation in terms of the private rental sector. We've seen the modular housing being built as well, which coincidentally was never the case for ordinary people as well. It just shows you why they try to create social problems in Ireland, and it suits the political establishment to create those social problems because then they can clamp down on issues when people have problems with what's going on and the unfairness inherent, built-in unfairness of these systems. And also it's very important because, not to mention the stock that's been taken out, there's been a huge increase from 4,000 homes accessing this scheme up to 16,000 homes now accessing this scheme. Now, up to €13 million per month is being spent on this scheme, and as well that would come in at about €156, €157 million per year is being used on this scheme as well. So when O'Gorman was questioning this, whose departments have control of this scheme, he said it was an anomaly and they're going to have an investigation and a report and look into it. This is the way it works. But again, it's inherent, built-in, two-tier system, discriminatory in nature as well, and creating huge issues as well in terms of the private rental accommodation. But again, who benefits? The landlords benefit, and many landlords are benefiting because rents in some parts of Ireland are less than €1,600 per month. So if they're getting €800 per month, it's tax-free. As I said, it's not means tested. It's given across the spectrum to all Ukrainians, despite of what their income levels are, whether they're working or not working. So inherently, it creates inherent unfairness towards the system. And it's very important to note that this has never been tried for any other nationality of people fleeing war before, for instance. People from Syria, it was never pushed on. They did have schemes through the Irish Red Cross, but it was never these accommodation recognition payments. And this again falls into the narrative and how the Irish establishment are bowing down to this war in Ukraine in terms of supporting the European Union every step of the way. It's the nonsense of all the money that's been thrown into Ukraine as well, in terms of eroding of our neutrality and the so-called non-lethal military aid. Not to mention domestically in terms of the issues that the increase in population has increased over the last number of years. Even Leo Varadkar himself has admitted, of course when he was in America he said this, that immigration has increased too fast over the last number of years, but increased by 2 or 3% in our population. But of course, at the crux of this is the lack of basic services for people. Because it is very important to note that through the neoliberal policies of the European Union that the Irish government have pushed left, right and centre down the throats of ordinary people. They've left people without an access to a home and access to a decent health service. We've seen crises appearing day after day, and we see the absolute abject contempt the political classes show the people of Ireland in terms of the amount of public money that they throw away at will through their quangos like Waterways Ireland, through the Office of Public Works. We've seen those scandals over the last number of days with the €1.4 million spent on a security hut, probably the most expensive security hut in the world, the €336,000 on the Dáil bike shed, the €2.4 billion and rising on the National Children's Hospital, and the €13 million per month given into the hands of private landlords through this accommodation recognition payment. And it's important to note in this that this temporary directive has been agreed again until March 2026. Ireland should pull out of this temporary directive. They should stand up for our independence, stand up for our sovereignty, and stand up against the nonsense, the absolute nonsense that's going on in Irish society, where ordinary people are picking up the tab, suffering because of their policies. And as I said, it's creating huge social problems and will create more social problems into the future because they're not being addressed, creating more inequalities and deepening divisions in society, where the wealthier in society keep getting richer and ordinary people are the ones that suffer through lower wages, through higher rents, and through unaffordability, and through homelessness, and through so many of our younger generation emigrating. So thanks a lot for the support of my videos. Please press subscribe to my YouTube channel, and talk to you all soon. Slán, bye bye.